Well, it's been a while since we've checked in on the Greater Idaho movement. For those of you unaware, their goal is to literally move the Oregon border to the west to create one big Idaho. The thought behind it is that many in eastern Oregon feel ignored by lawmakers in Salem and generally the west side. And they are thinking it would be better if they aligned with Idaho's conservative legislature. Now, before we get too far into this, let's briefly discuss the prospect of this actually happening. I'm going to keep it short for you. Ain't ever going to happen. Sorry. Both Oregon and Idaho legislatures would have to agree, and then Congress would have to sign off. So even calling this a long shot, it's really generous. But it does illustrate the deep divide between the urban western half of Oregon and the mostly rural eastern part. Now, last week, the first ever meeting between legislators from the two states happened out in Baker City. You see it right here. From Oregon, you have Prineville Republican Rep. Vikki Breese-Iverson there on the left, and the two women on the right side of the table are Republican Representatives Judy Boyle and Barbara Ehart of Idaho. Up until this point, the Greater Idaho campaign has focused on putting voter initiatives on the ballot in eastern Oregon counties. Those ballot measures ask voters if they want their elected leaders to start having conversations about moving the border. There's nothing binding, it's just to get the discussions underway and show how voters are feeling. Well, voters in 12 eastern Oregon counties have felt that, yeah, they would like that. A majority of voters approved it. Those are the counties there that we're showing you in red on the map. Crook County in green will put the measure to voters in May of next year. And while the Greater Idaho campaign boasts of its undefeated record in those counties, the next step, getting the state legislatures involved, that's not so easy, and it's not been so smooth. In Idaho, earlier this year, a bill calling for discussion of moving the border actually passed in the House of Representatives, but the Idaho Senate did not pass it. And one of the lawmakers at that meeting last week said, well, that was because of turnover in the Senate and because of news that the Oregon legislature would not touch it. And by the way, that was correct. A bill was introduced into Salem this year by Republican Senator Dennis Linthicum of Klamath Falls, but it was referred to a Senate committee where it never even received a hearing and it died. So that's the big hurdle ahead for Greater Idaho, getting the Oregon legislature on board. And getting Representative Breese-Iverson out to Baker City was the first step towards making that happen.
In Oregon, I represent the center of Oregon, rural community. And surrounding me, there's been 12 counties that have voted to take this conversation forward. I've clearly heard from my constituents, and I am here today because they've asked me to have this conversation. And I am very pleased to be here with a representative from Idaho who has also heard from her constituents that they'd like us to have this conversation. We just need to listen to the people that brought us to this elected position.
Now, she was asked how other Republicans in the Oregon legislature feel about Greater Idaho, to which she answered with a beautiful pivot and said, well, they've seen headlines and they've had discussions. But how does Oregon's majority party, the Democrats, feel about Greater Idaho? We got in touch with the press folks from the Senate side, and they told us, no comment. So far, we have yet to receive a response from the Democrats in the House side. So whether this is a political hot potato or simply a non-starter, which is more my bet, for the D's, time will tell. But Greater Idaho has a long way to go, especially in Salem.